Hey guys, Retro Badger here. Welcome to episode 3 of the Star Trek Resurgence playthrough. Now, I created a few issues for myself in the last episode, diplomatically speaking at least, and possibly relationship-wise, so let's see if I can recover from those past transgressions. Okay, so we had that big standoff in the diplomatic senate, I think it was, and now we need to go and ask some questions. Right, so if you hold the left trigger down on the Xbox, it actually gives you hints on things to look at. Oh, okay. I'm assuming maybe different floors?
Soothing.
Now, as I said in the last game, you can't actually change the X and the Y axis. So you can't invert it, which can be a problem for some people.
Commander, after hearing so much about the Federation's sense of fairness and justice, I was surprised that you sided with the Illydians. In all honesty, I expected more, especially from someone like you.
Whoops.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
On the Illydians' terms, apparently.
I assume you were there, the day the mines were seized from the Illydians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Illydians could even realize their worst nightmare was upon them.
I'm curious why the Illydians haven't fought back. They have the ability to retake the mines anytime they want.
Ability is one thing, courage is another. The Illydians know any hostile action on their part will not end well. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Illydians might have in store.
If only he knew.
Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
No need to worry. Even in a worst-case scenario, the fleet is always within reach.
But it would probably take them quite some time to get here.
Maybe. Or we might have other ships in the sector.
Of course.
Good bluff.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Well, he was okay.
Commander Rydek, I have to admit, I was surprised when you said the Illydians should control the dilithium trade. I was under the assumption the Federation was neutral. But maybe I was wrong.
I'm sorry. It was wrong of me to side with the Illydians. We are here to help find a peaceful resolution to this conflict. That's all.
I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Calvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Illydians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illydians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illydians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Might have to investigate this.
Are you sure of this?
It's been the talk of the palace since the day of the revolt.
How can we know?
Strange goings on, though.
I better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I don't mean to bother you, but I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured it might be useful if I offered another perspective.
Cool uniform.
course.
It's got to
I
be the
have to
coolest
say-
one I've seen.
I fully expected you to side with the Hotari, but obviously the Federation wants a steady supply of dilithium,
Of course.
something only we can offer.
I mean, no.
Without Illydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Left to the Hotari, it would be nothing short of a disaster.
Restoring the status quo and returning the mines to Illydian control offers a stability that can be mutually beneficial.
Well said. In that case, everyone wins and there's no need for bloodshed.
Exactly.
Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Illydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You said the Hotari were primitive,
Well, they are.
except for the part about weaponizing ion storms.
I'm not sure if I should have agreed
If
with
you'll
what I just said.
excuse me, Commander Ryder.
This is complex. I'm just thinking it would be good to restore what we had before, as that would obviously be more stable. We'd have a sort of uneasy peace. The Federation would get its dilithium, people would be relatively happy. Yes, it's not right. People, basically, it should be split equally between all three of them, but I don't see a way of that happening. Ooh, what's that? We missed something. There's no option to run. Let's see. Flag. Or a banner.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
The comic book prequel to this game looks really good. I've managed to get issues 2 to 5, but issue 1 is very hard to track down. I'm gonna have to wait to get that one, but it leads up to this story apparently. The artwork looks fantastic. And I went the wrong way. Wish we could run. So far, I am impressed with the voice acting, the story, and for a story-driven game, I like the visuals. I really do. As some people have said in the comments, it's more like a Final Unity, that type of story game where you're going around investigating. Maybe not as much hands-on as a Final Unity. Ah, there's Spock.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illydians stormed out.
Uh-oh. Are we going to get told off now?
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Is that his sense of humour, do you think? Because we all know they have one. According to Sulu.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Ooh, are we going to get to fly a shuttle, I wonder? Nice. What I would give for a Federation shuttlecraft. Preferably the Delta Flyer, but I'd be happy with a shuttlecraft. Ion
Setting up
storm.
a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Okay, fly forward, fly backward, turn straight. Oh great, here we go. Okay, so we need to make sure... Ooh, look at this! We need to make sure we go through the waypoint. Oh, that's confusing. Don't crash into big ship. Despite, I mean, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, this game.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems
Well,
are calibrated to receive the
this is
probe
cool.
readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is
We're
deployed.
in a...
Thank you, Mr.
We're playing a
Chillock.
Star Trek
We'll be in
game
position shortly.
from 2023.
And Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft.
Woo.
Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
I never thought we would see another Next
Chillock
Generation
probably isn't
game.
such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Nah, Lieutenant Commander Chovak's not so bad. You know, once you get used to him. And, I've learned a lot working under him.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to work harder to be a political animal like you, with this new first officer coming aboard.
Oh. So yeah, I'm having a bit of issue with how you can't invert the Y-axis. I'm used to playing a lot of flight simulators. There we go, got it.
This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position.
Cool.
Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO.
Let it go.
I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Something tells me that guy...
Field collapse in 3,
Ooh, that guy would have a
2,
problem with anyone,
1.
I think.
Mark.
Oh! Uh-oh.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
Gosh. I think we're gonna have to,
Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. Hey, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too. Of course, if you get an officer's commission, they'll put you on another ship.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Well, he approved for once. Science guy.
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. Mark.
Whoa.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Dark matter or something?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Okay. Oh. Found something. Oh, you know, this brings back vibes of the Star Trek Nemesis movie when they were searching for the scimitar. And Diana and Worf. And then she found it. That was absolutely genius. And they fired those quantum torpedoes.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Almost like Battleship. Oh, there's one. I'm beginning to wonder if it's intermittent here, actually. Oh.
Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally.
Hmm.
I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
We're under attack and we didn't even know it. We need to stop them. Unplug whatever it is they're hitting us with.
Now, look here. It's our current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations, they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Hmm.
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming
Whoa.
to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Elydians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them. She's trying to save them.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harness the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Okay.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Here we go. We're gonna find out something.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
If she gets caught with a Federation tricorder, that could be quite bad.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're not
or maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
He respected us for that.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Illydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
If this warp disruption attack isn't enough justification, I don't know what is. We have every right to defend ourselves.
In due time.
I don't want to escalate this without a better idea of what we're getting into.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
Crazy. So they've got a weapon that can disrupt warp travel.
As I was
That is
telling
very
Carter,
powerful.
I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
Imagine what an enemy
I'll
could
join
do
you
with
and
that.
Shovok down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
Federation doesn't have warp travel.
I didn't
Doesn't have
like
anything.
This warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Problem?
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Ooh.
Here, I'll help.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
What can I say? I'm good at what I do.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
Nice linear chips. I just watched that episode of Next Generation where all the isolinear chips were pulled out and they couldn't get away from the exploding star. Whoops. And Data was putting them all in really quick.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Ooh, tricorder time.
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Should he be touching that?
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device. Some kind of sabotage. Or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
Miranda, you gotta be more careful. Someone hears that, they could think you're talking mutiny.
I'm just trying to figure out how we can help. Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. I just don't want to take any chances.
Makes you wonder if that box has
Not with my friends.
makes you wonder if that box has a little transporter built into it. That's
You and
really
Miranda
cool.
seem to be back to normal. But she was a little off. I think this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Now, you can't tell me you're not a little spooked, too. We all should be.
Believe me, I'm taking it seriously. But Miranda talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda, too.
The plot thickens.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She
Blue
mentioned
man.
an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylus managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher.
Select
Select a
it.
symbol to further analyze.
Ooh. Nope. Do you know, I'm almost thinking Borg there. The one on the left, certainly. Looks a little like Borg symbol, possibly? I thought that was freaky on Frontier Day, when we saw all the starships lined up in the Borg symbol. A few people pointed that out in the comments. It kind of went a bit unnoticed. Nah, that's not going to match, is it? I'll give it a try. That might be a match, actually. Nearly. Nope. The LCARS system seems a bit different on this ship as well. Maybe it's like an update that we never saw after Nemesis. Kind of has a bit of a motion picture era vibe to the colours as well. Well, it can't be that. Oh, what's this? Will it be the Ferengi Alliance? Oh, I find that so funny. I hope Quark appears, can you imagine? Nope, no. Are we going to have to go through the entire Federation database here? Oh, hang on. Might have a match. Is that a match?
99.2% match.
Yeah, close enough. Oh, to
So,
come.
what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Khan Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago. but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating.
Wow.
The Takan were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Takan technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Takan is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
Actually, I've heard of the Takan.
You have?
Quite impressive, Commander.
Computer, summarize the Enterprise D's discovery of a Takan outpost.
On stardate 41386.4, the USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Takan outpost in the Delphi-Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
Oh, I can't believe we just saw the Galaxy class and the Enterprise D. That right there has made this entire game worth it for me personally.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet.
Oh?
Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi-Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
What sort of planet is Delphi-Ardu 4?
Delphi-Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi-Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence. Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
For now, it's probably best we don't let on how much we know.
Play our cards close to the vest. Smart. I agree. Then when the time is right, we can confront them.
Diplomatically, of course.
Right.
We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau. Assuming you're up to the task.
You know, it's almost like
Require absolute secrecy.
they're kind of like secret agents, really, aren't they?
It's not without risk.
I'll get the away team in and out. They're in safe hands with me.
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. Given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
It's a risk we have to take. We need to know what we're up against.
Agreed. And of course you'll have the full support of the Resolute throughout.
We must take every precaution.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illydians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime. Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
Right, so time to be a secret agent. Well, that seems like a good moment to end this current episode. So we've learned quite a lot this episode. The story has really progressed forwards. It looks like we're going to be going on a covert mission. It always surprises me in Star Trek how they will send somebody like a commander or even a captain on a very high-risk mission. You would think that they would send somebody of a lower rank, but, well, guess that's what happens. You need somebody with the most experience. How are you all finding the story? Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.